2-on-1 developing across for Panarin, alone out in front. Kochetkov, a stand-up save with a right pad.
Right.
Now shot right on by Lafreniere. On a little give and go was Zibanejad, and Kochetkov, that is his best save by far in the first 7 minutes and 55 seconds. Canes will win the draw. Walker, there's a try, they score! Nikolaj Ehlers! His first goal with the Carolina Hurricanes. It's a power play goal.
You get an offensive zone draw. Jankowski's going to take it. See if he can get a late one here.
And he gives it back for Riley at the left point. Riley works it across. Long drive, they score! Walker rips it through, and it's a 2-0 Hurricanes lead. Sean Walker steps into it. His second of the season off the draw, and the Canes take a 2-0 lead.
How about that? Carolina Hurricanes score a power play goal. They get great goaltending. Defense doesn't mess it up. And you win a game 3-0 at Madison Square Garden. Nice. Very, very nice. Hi, everyone. It's the Canes Corner Podcast here live on YouTube. I am Adam Gold, and we are, of course, brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. All right. I got 5 things I want to talk about. I also want to go through the goals. So why don't we just do that first? And Carolina scores both of their goals off set pieces. You know, it's just a little bit of a joke, but right off faceoffs. Both goals. They had opportunities like, in transition, 2-on-1s, Hall and Aho. Hall decides way too late to pass. Puck doesn't get through. Hall loses control of the puck on another one, gets shouldered down by, who is it, Brayden Schneider? I don't know, somebody got him. It's just, they had some opportunities. Seth Jarvis comes down the left. Good save by Igor Shesterkin. There were a couple of opportunities for Blake and Stankoven, didn't cash in. So ultimately, a low event game for Carolina. They didn't generate a ton, but when they did, they generally generated good chances. You scored 2 off faceoffs. The Ehlers goal on the power play, Carolina 1 for 3 with the man advantage tonight. They got 3 power plays. They got 3 total in the previous 3 games. Now 6 power play opportunities in the last 4 games. Goody. Ehlers in the right place. Aho wins a draw. Sean Walker gets it over to Ehlers left side. I think just inside the left faceoff circle. He wrists it just off the inside of the far post. Seth Jarvis in front. Shesterkin never saw it. That's the first goal, first period. Late in the second period after Carolina. Honestly, I mean, I thought the period kind of had like peaks and valleys. I thought Carolina was good early. Then the Rangers took over, started with their first power play. It ended with the Rangers' second power play. From that point on, I thought Carolina just choked the absolute life out of the Rangers and this game. But then Sean Walker gets the goal. Mark Jankowski wins a faceoff, gets it to Riley. Riley back across to Walker. Quick shot, gets through. Jankowski in front. I forget who it was. Really got tangled up with Shesterkin. It was Ranger on Ranger. It was friendly fire from that perspective. But those are the goals. And then the Seth Jarvis empty netter, his 8th of the year. It's either I think it's his 3rd empty net goal. It might just be his 2nd, but it's at least 2 empty net goals. He has become the new Andrei Svechnikov. Hey, look, I'm a big fan of Seth Jarvis. If he wants to pad his goal total with empty net goals, I'll take it. And my son's fantasy team will take it. He's very excited to have Seth Jarvis. Also has Sebastian Aho, who they both have 12 points on the season. So otherwise, there's really not a lot to report in terms of the goals because that's all there were. Just 3 goals, 2 of them off of face-off plays, and then the other was into an empty net. So now let's get to item number 2. And item number 2, because I remember, and this is okay, but I remember when the Hurricanes had Freddie Anderson and Brandon Bussey, and Bussey played well, really well. And he just played well against the Islanders, right? And I remember everybody going, oh, man, we don't need Pyotr Kochetkov. Trade Pyotr Kochetkov. One of the things we talked about with when you've got three goalies, and ideally, in a perfect world, Carolina would send Brandon Bussey to the Chicago Wolves of the American Hockey League. And he would play there, and he would keep sharp, and he would be ready when needed. But the perfect world doesn't exist because Bussey played too well. He would never clear waivers. Florida would want him back. At some point, based on the rules, he cannot go back to the American Hockey League. At some point, the team that claims him will have to keep him in the NHL. And at that point, the Hurricanes probably will send him back to Chicago. But I don't know when that point is. I don't know when that point is in terms of games or in terms of time. I also know that the Carolina Hurricanes cannot sign him until after January 1st. And I do believe, because there is no goaltending prospect in the minor leagues, I believe that Brandon Bussey will get a contract and hopefully will be part of the organization for the next at least year, 2 years. Remember, they did this with Spencer Martin. And we talked about it on the last podcast that we were going to get into the goaltending situation. And I don't want to rehash the whole thing. But bottom line is they don't have a third goaltender in the system that they could play in the NHL. So they have to have one of those. And right now they can't send either of their two backups to Chicago because Kochetkov won't clear waivers because you saw what he did tonight. And every team in the NHL knows that when he's right, he's really good, but he can be had. And he can be, excitable to the point where he's out of position all over the place, and sometimes he loses his concentration. It's hard to tell if he did tonight or not because the Rangers didn't put enough pucks on him in the last 30 minutes of the game to really test him. But he was great for the first 30 minutes when he had to be. Like, really, the Rangers did almost everything before the middle, maybe 12 minutes left, 12 minutes gone in the second period. They were pretty much done. They had one registered shot on goal in the third, and that came, really wasn't even a shot. It was just a puck from the other side of center ice that dribbled in on Kochetkov. It was almost a 100-foot shot. Not really a shot. So back to Kochetkov. We were talking about, some people were throwing shade on Kochetkov. We don't need him. We got Bussey. But when you see the way he played tonight, you understand why the organization invested a 4-year deal in him a couple of years ago. Because they all recognize that when he is not allowing the bad goal, he can be really good. And he was tonight. So I've always found this fascinating about him. And I don't know if it's trying to prove something to the opposition, to prove something to himself, to prove something to friends and family back home. But Kochetkov against Russian goalies, way different than Kochetkov against every other goalie. It is really uncanny. So he has now played against Igor Shesterkin in the regular season. The playoffs have been a little bit more sporadic and not as good. But in the regular season, he has played against Igor Shesterkin 7 times, and he's beaten him 5. 4 of those wins have been at Madison Square Garden. All right. So he is now 4-1 at MSG with a save percentage of .926. He is 5-2 overall against Shesterkin with a save percentage of .934. That's pretty good. That's just against Shesterkin. Against the other 3, of the big four Russian goalies, Andrei Vasilevsky, Sergei Bobrovsky, and Ilya Sorokin. He's 11-5 with a .935 save percentage. I think it's pretty good. What do you think? I think it's good. I could be wrong, but I think that's good. So, and here's what it now does. And I'm not saying that Brandon Bussi isn't going to play again. Hell, he might play on Thursday. I really don't think Rod Brind'Amour is going to go like a pitching rotation. You know, every third game is going to be Freddie's. Every third game is going to be Piotr's. Every third game is going to be Bussi. I really don't think he does that. I do think what he will do is really relax the workload of Anderson. So if you play 4 games in a week, I don't think he gets more than 2. I think primarily it will be Kochetkov, maybe not alternating with him, but getting most of the other starts. And Bussi will get every once in a while a start until we get to a point where they can send him to the minors. And I say all of this knowing full well that it might look completely different. I don't know how Rod's going to do it. I'm just guessing. I just know you can't play 3. Because when you play 3, one of them doesn't get enough work to be really good. It's hard to be. That's why it's so hard to be a backup goalie. Because you just don't know when you're going to play. Like, I like when Carolina basically alternates. And they might do that in back-to-back situations. Whether, Bussi gets one of the starts or Bussi starts maybe after a back-to-back situation. Canes will have plenty 3 games in 4 nights. Plenty. Could work out where Bussi gets some starts. Hey, we got a back-to-back coming up. We have 3 and 4 nights now. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I think Tuesday next week. So I would guess that Bussi might get a start in one of the next few games. And hopefully he'll keep it going. The other thing, and I mentioned this on Saturday, the other thing people need to really understand is that goaltending is fleeting. I remember when Spencer Martin was the hot thing in Carolina. Bless his heart. I mean, he was a minor league goalie. At some point, Brandon Bussi might wake up and he'll be a minor league goalie in terms of his ability, whether he's in the NHL or not. So we can't just assume that the 4 games that we've seen of Bussi are going to be what he is forever. Just can't assume that. I mean, you hope that that's what Brandon Bussi has become. A .915 to .918 save percentage guy, keeps you in games, wins you some. Just a perfect backup / third goalie, really, to have. Because Kochetkov's got the higher end. But anyway, it's off to a good start. And it's a great problem to have, especially if you've got enough cap space to cover it, and the Hurricanes do. And eventually you'll have to, find a place for him to play to keep sharp. Because you're going to need a third goalie. We all know that there is a Frederik Andersen and probably another Pyotr Kochetkov injury just waiting to happen. So Kochetkov, 25 saves, most of that work early. Dynamite saves on Panarin and Miller and Lafreniere. I mean, so many good saves. Adam Fox had looks. It was a good game for him, and it was great to see because the team loves it. All right. Second most important thing I saw tonight was the blue line. 2 of my stars that weren't named Kochetkov were Nikishin and Walker. Now, it's getting easy to just pencil in Nikishin or Walker for a star because they're all over the game, and they were all over the game tonight. Nikishin is getting better in all situations. He had about a 30 to 45 second shift where he made a great read on a pass and intercepted a play that would have been a scoring chance were it not for his ability to read the play, sniff it out, get rid of the puck. But in the puck didn't get out of the zone, and which is partially on him and partially on just chance. But he had to be physical in that shift, and then he got his stick in the way of a pass that would have definitely been a scoring chance. But we're starting to see these things more and more routinely from Alexander. And the more he grows as a player, and somebody had brought it up on Twitter, and I think it's true. It might have even been in the chat here. The added responsibility without Slavin, without Miller, without Gostisbehere has really accelerated his learning curve, and I think he's better for it. Now, that doesn't ultimately change the fact that when everybody's healthy, I still think Nikishin is going to end up playing with Gostisbehere on a third pair. But I think they're going to play a lot. And if Nikishin ends up playing anywhere from 17 to 19 minutes on a third pair with Gostisbehere, and Slavin and Walker play 21, and Miller and Chatfield play 20, Carolina's the better team for it. Because now you got a bunch of guys who are fresh, not overworking anybody. You're not asking somebody to, play 27 and a half minutes like has already happened this year because of the attrition. But that's when everybody's healthy. Right now, the way Nikishin is playing, he's one of your best. He's playing like it too. But I want to give a little love to Charles Alexis Legault and Joel Nystrom for, I thought, tonight against the Rangers playing their best, most complete, and intelligent game. There are always going to be pockets of, oh boy, no good. Why are you doing that? Get the puck here. There's always going to be situations like this of young defensemen. Heck, there's situations like that with everybody. Taylor Hall makes a pass every game that makes me shake my head. Why would you do that? Put it behind the net. Don't pass the puck, not blindly, but, backhand flip towards your blue line. Let's not do that. You know better. Taylor Hall makes some curious plays for obviously a very intelligent person. But the way Charles Alexis Legault and Joel Nystrom played tonight allowed Rod Brind'Amour the freedom to use that maybe a little bit more in a tight game against the team with a lot of firepower that the Rangers have, even if very little of that firepower has the ability to ignite right now. It does seem like they are literally, I think, the second worst offensive team in the league going into tonight. So maybe they're the worst. Averaging less than 2.5 goals. It's like 2.38. And scoring 0 doesn't help the cause. But with all of that said, the Rangers are still a dangerous team. And Nystrom and Legault got enough time and made enough good, I thought, some really good plays. And I've liked Nystrom. And I think he's ahead of Legault in terms of performance. But I thought we saw Charles play his best game tonight. There was some physicality to it. I'd like to see even a little bit more, but there was physicality. I thought there were some smart reads. He jumped into the play a couple of times, got involved in the offense. I liked it. More. And at some point, Nystrom and Legault are going to go to Chicago, and they're going to kick that league's ass. Because they're getting all this experience in the NHL, and between Legault, who's probably Carolina's 8th defenseman, and Nystrom, who's probably their 9th, they're going to go to Chicago and just crush it. At least I hope that's the case. So Riley played well. Chatfield played well. Walker was exceptional again. He continues to blossom with the added responsibility of being a top line defenseman on a team right now that is missing the best version of that, and maybe a second version of it in Keandre Miller, who I think can maybe not get to Slavin levels, but get to a notch below Slavin defensively. So blue line, great. Kochetkov, great. We already talked about Carolina scoring off set pieces. Two other elements, and then we'll get out of here. Still not generating offense. So in all situations tonight, 9 high danger chances. Just 9 in all situations. It's in some ways remarkable that they scored 2 goals. But again, those were not high danger situations. The goals were not high danger. They just weren't. But as long as Carolina can generate enough, and tonight the added element of being completely, so stingy defensively that there was nothing for the Rangers really to do in the last 30 minutes of the game. So if you're Carolina, yes, you would like to generate more, but as long as you're not giving up anything, and that's the way the head coach grades it anyway. He always looks at, well, what did we give up? And we're not talking about the goals. We're talking about the chances. What are we giving up? Oh, nothing. Like the last 30 minutes tonight, there were literally no scoring chances. As long as you're doing that, you don't need as many, opportunities to score yourself. But when you're only putting yourself in 9 high danger opportunities, well then, you better score on a couple of them. And even though these were not high danger goals, Carolina got 2 on the board. And the way Carolina can play, 2 could be enough. The way Kochetkov played, 2 was absolutely enough. Now, the remedy for Carolina getting their offense back, and I've been saying this for a couple of days, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I do believe that the absence of Slavin and Miller and Gostisbehere has had more impact on Carolina's offense than it has on their defense. I'm not saying there has been no impact, because that would be a lie. You're always going to be impacted when you're missing those 3 players, especially the way Gostisbehere has been playing for Carolina. But their blue line is so important to controlling the puck. And if you want to do this, because I've done it, go look at now the last, we played 12 games? The last 7 games. And in the last 7 games, 5 out of the 7, the Hurricanes, actually no, tonight too. If you look at the grade A scoring chances, go to Natural Stat Trick, look at high danger chances 4. You could even do it in all situations, because all situations, that's a hockey game. And in 6 out of the last 7 games, the Hurricanes have been in negative numbers when it comes to grade A scoring chances. In years past, the last 4 years specifically, the Hurricanes have been one of the best 2 teams or 3 teams? In the last 4 years before this year, in percentages of grade A scoring chances, the Hurricanes have been second, first, and third. In total scoring chances, grade A scoring chances, the Hurricanes have been first, fourth, first, and second. So, with that said, Carolina generates a ton of good chances, except they really haven't been the last, again, 6 of the last 7. They've generated fewer scoring chances, and in almost all of those games, it has been a single-digit number. And tonight it was, I believe, 9 in all situations. Now, they held the Rangers to 10 and 4 in the last 2 periods, so that's great. But you'd like a little bit more dynamism from Carolina's offense, and we're not getting it at this point. Will it remedy? I think it will. I think as guys get more comfortable, this team will hit its stride, and I think it will be super dangerous at some point. Maybe the power play, which is getting better, maybe they'll be able to muster something on the power play, but I think the power play is looking better. It is not making you cringe watching it. Penalty kill. I thought the first 2 penalty kills were all about the goaltender. The last one was all about the team in front of the goaltender. And at that point, you probably needed it because I thought the Rangers were really pushing. But again, all of this stuff is great, and the Hurricanes pick up a big win over a Metropolitan Division team. They have not lost to the Metro yet. You're going to win the division if you don't lose any games in the Metro. I have to imagine that. But all good. From Kochetkov to the young guys on the blue line, to Nikishin, to Walker, who just keep getting better, to Riley, who is such a valuable part of this team as the 7th defenseman. Look, when everybody's healthy, Mike's going to be sitting up in the press box with me. So it's good that Carolina's getting just a great run of good games from him. And, of course, the goalie was good, although I might have just mentioned that. All right. That'll do it for us. Canes win at 3-0. They're now 8-4-0 on the season. They're up to 16 points. It was a good, solid performance for Carolina. It resulted in 2 points. And they played a lot more like the Hurricanes without the element of creating a ton of chances. But tonight they gave up nothing. And that'll work. Aluminum Company of North Carolina right there at the bottom of the screen, aluminumcompany.com. They're almost done out here at the ranch. And then I'll go back to the screened-in porch just in time for the super cold weather. Yeah, buddy. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Canes and the Minnesota Wild. I am Adam Gold. This has been the Canes Corner Podcast, and I appreciate you spending the time. We'll talk to you down the road.